As pastor of a church with a school, sometimes the last thing you want is to get a phone call from parents. In the year and a half I've been pastor here, no such phone call has come. Compliments to the principal. But when I was pastor in Kansas City, I got this phone call that they wanted to come and talk to me. That evening, they came, and what they wanted to talk about was that they were getting ready to move from Kansas City to a city in Illinois. They were inquiring if I knew of a good Catholic school where they were going. Now, this is a young Baptist family with two little boys looking for a good Catholic school. And of course, the priest is supposed to know all the Catholic schools in the country. And I was curious why it was so important to them that they know where there was a good Catholic school. So he proceeds to tell me about the day that their first grader came home from school, obviously having been in some kind of a fight or an altercation. And the father asked his little son, "Well, what did you do? How did you hit back?" And little Derek said, "Well, I didn't do anything because Father Al said to turn the other cheek." I reminded that father that was Jesus. It was Jesus who said that. But that's why they wanted a Catholic school for their children. They wanted their child, those two little boys, African American, inner city, Baptist, but they wanted their children to know the gospel and to live the gospel. I found it an astounding respect for that young father who was letting his child hear the gospel and try to live it. 1,000 years before Jesus says to us, "Love your enemy," David, being chased down by Saul, has that opportunity to kill his enemy. And Abishai is waiting and ready. "Well, it'll only take me one thrust. I can do this for you." David says, "We can't do that." They take the spear and the water jug, and then from across the valley, a little taunting, I'd call it, "Here's your spear. You know what I could have done with this spear, but I did not. I did not kill the Lord's anointed, because one death leads to another. One attack leads to a bigger attack." David understood that you do not solve violence with violence. And that's Jesus' teaching today. You love your enemies. You pray for those who mistreat you. Those are not easy messages for us to hear. I'm going to get this microphone fixed this week. It's not easy for us to hear messages that goes countercultural. In the second reading, Paul was talking about the first Adam We're all children of the first Adam. We're naturally that. But we are also of the last Adam, the Christ, the spiritual. It's so easy for us, though, to live out of the natural, to live out of our relationship to the first Adam, because that comes naturally. I naturally want to strike back when someone strikes at me. Naturally, I want to do that. But the more we want to associate ourselves with the last Adam, with the Christ, the spiritual, then we are making a resolve to try to do different than what our natural reaction would be. It's so easy for us to pick up the spear. The spear is sometimes in the form of a gun. Are there not enough of those around in the world today? The spear sometimes is a matter of bombs, which we produce and use over and over again. The spear is sometimes writing that anonymous letter that thrusts at the heart of someone you're attacking. There are all kinds of spears that we keep using. And yet, we're being challenged to not use the spear, to not do what we naturally, our natural reaction might cause us to do. I'm aware of the 6 Americans of African descent who are being promoted toward sainthood. I'd like to share a little bit about Father Augustus Tolton today, because he exemplifies one who is following the real teaching of Jesus. He was born into slavery in Missouri, a slave state. His father left the family and fled the slave owner to be able to fight in the Union Army. His mother and her 4 children remained in the service of this white Catholic family. His mother was baptized Catholic. But she eventually took her 4 children and risked crossing the Mississippi River into Illinois, a free state. And there, this young black boy was invited to go to the Catholic school. Now that pastor would have gotten a lot of phone calls if there were phones in the 1860s. They did not want that black child going to school with their children. But this Irish priest, strong in his belief, kept that child in the school, mentored him, helped him. And as the boy grew, it became apparent to Father Peter McGirr that this child could very well have the vocation to priesthood. So he went to college. And upon completion of the college, there was not a seminary in the United States who would accept him because he was black. Father Peter McGirr made sure he went to Rome, where he did his theology studies and was ordained. Augustus could have been bitter. He could have been bitter about the years as a child that he was property owned by white people. He could have been bitter, but in many ways he did turn the other cheek and was listening to the last Adam, listening to Christ. When sent back from Rome to Illinois to be a priest, he was not accepted. He was not accepted by the white Catholics. He was not accepted by the black Protestants, who didn't want him taking their parishioners away. Eventually, he was assigned to Chicago, where he thrived in helping develop the Black Catholic Church there. Sadly, poor health took his life when he was only 43. But here's a man who listened to the gospel, who loved his enemies, who gave without thinking of the cost, who prayed for those who had mistreated him along the way. These indeed are some of our saints. And they're the kind of people, he is the kind of person that hopefully can inspire us to do more than what naturally comes to us, but out of love for our brothers and sisters, try to bring into our life the teachings of Jesus, these profound teachings of the gospel. No doubt these are challenging. We read this story on Friday with the children in school who began the service with the song, "I Have Decided to Follow Jesus." I told them, after you hear what Jesus says today, you might change your mind. Are you really ready to follow Jesus? Are you ready to live like this? Can you love your enemies? Can you turn your cheek? Can I? Can I give, not worrying about what I'm going to get back? We keep striving to do that. And what a better world is going to be if there were more people like David, who did not exact revenge on his enemies. If there were more people like him in the world today, unwilling to use their spears. The spear that sometimes is just that little tongue in your mouth. There's all kinds of ways that we thrust at people, or we thrust back. We're being challenged to live differently. Martin Luther King was famous to say, you don't fight violence with violence. You don't fight hatred with hatred, you fight hatred with love. And that too comes from Christ. So let's continue as we strive to be the people that Jesus wants us to be, to live according to this gospel, among many other passages that challenge us to live in this world in such a way that we will make a difference. I think back to that little Derek, who must now be a man in his mid-40s. That makes me feel a little old. And just hope that as that child grew, what the environment that his parents were teaching in that Catholic school he was attending, that he has grown into the kind of a man who's making wonderful difference in the world in raising his children to live as Christ asks us to live.